I'm Louis Jerome Armstrong, author and public speaker. I like to talk about Black Lives Matter, and so do every other life matter. The reason I say this way is because there's a lot of information, a lot of people's talking about Black Lives Matter, and by them saying that, it's like a racial tone there, although it's not meant to be like that. And the theme should be Black Lives Matter and all lives matter. And that way everybody will be comfortable because you have events happening all over the world today. And these events are bringing the spotlight not only on what's happening in America, but what's happening in other parts of the world as well, and that being left out. But since I live in America, I want to talk about Black Lives Matter, but I want to talk about it not in the sense of what's happening in the media eye, etc., but I want to talk about what is going to happen in the future, as well as what is happening in the present and what has have happened in the past. Now, the reason my credentials give me that opportunity is because the things that I have wrote in a book called Judgment of America, that on page 127 in 2006 tells about Barack Obama being the president of the United States. Now, it didn't say Barack Obama going to be the president. It said this, that there will be a black president in the very near future. And this was said in 2006. It was a prediction on page 127. Okay, less than 2 years or 2 years later, you had Barack Obama. And many other things I have said in my book, Black Nostradamus, Prophecy of America's Future, and the book Judgment of America, have given me an opportunity to bring that out and say that, hey, he have the gift to show why he have just cause to talk about Black Lives Matter. And the reason I say it because this world, this country, especially America is ran by the secret orders. And these secret orders have certain knowledge. And this knowledge is what I would use the term is beyond academics. It's something that you don't learn in the school system or the university level. This is something that you are chosen to learn, or you learn from these orders. And if you don't have no understanding of this, you cannot possibly understand what is actually going on right now, other than some police officers killing some black folks killing each other, and all kind of things that's going on that you can't find understanding to. I would like to narrow that down and bring an understanding to why certain things are happening right now, and why there's a movement that is occurring that is not going to stop anytime soon. And also why you should not worry about Illuminati organization doing this and doing that, because in the knowledge of sacred geometry that's found in the Bible, you would see that this whole thing is like a hologram. This whole thing is a metric system. This whole thing is already sought up by a divine presence. And once you understand how to see into that divine presence, then you'll know what's going to happen. And the prophets had that ability. You have something they call Hebrew typology that is never discussed or never used in the church today. And that simply is that at a certain time in history, a divine principle of things make it that one prophet in understanding that things are repeating the history of a previous prophet that had been in the Old Testament. So when you see someone talk about the time of Joseph or read the literal writing of Joseph, there's a certain areas in that particular prophet at our time could read, and he could understand and see it much plainer than any preacher, any professor, or anyone else who just studying the Bible. And it's very important to understand this, because without this type of understanding the esoteric writing of things, and the word esoteric is telling you that it's a specialized knowledge that only very few people understand. And this is the part you need to know to make sense of all this that's occurred. We're in a time that is called the ending of the dark age. Now, what do you mean by that? When you begin to see the understanding of the precession of the equinox, the Egyptian had a good understanding of this, and many people flow from that direction. Even you hear some of the Masons say, well, I'm looking to the east. What do that mean? You have various meaning. You never have one layer of meaning to things, but one of the things is that the knowledge, the divine knowledge, the knowledge of self, man know thyself, the knowledge of carrying your cross, which is man know thyself, is the knowledge that emerged from the east. And that knowledge that emerged from the east, there's another part to it. Although the knowledge emerged from the east and you got to go in that direction to get the knowledge, that knowledge go all over the world, because the pyramid environment is known in time past from the ancients as being in the center of the earth. So that knowledge is to radiate all around the world. And the individuals in America must have that type of knowledge in order to make sense, because when you want to study the language of God, you got to know sacred geometry. You got to know mathematics. And I want to give you an example as we move into this area of Black Lives Matter. Many blacks, for example, if you tell them, well, I can use sacred geometry, and I could tell you the life, the importance of the sponsor of Barack Obama, President Barack Obama. Now, when I say that, most people say, man, what is he talking about? I have no. But you tell an intelligent person who understand from the esoteric world, who understand this, they want all ears, they want to hear it. But you tell a person that we consider as the 90%, they are the sheep, they have no interest in that. Why they have no interest? Because they're dead. In order to bring people to the knowledge of God, you got to resurrect them from that dead state of consciousness that they have been in for so long. Because the school system, the system in America, tell you and try to teach you the Isaac Newton theory of things. You know, evolution. You came from apes and monkeys. Come on, let's just throw that in the garbage can and just leave that alone. Because when you're dealing with the knowledge of the day, the scientific knowledge of the day, quantum physics and etc., there's no room for evolution in the sense of Newton. People come from monkeys, etc. Let's throw that away and look at it from an esoteric point of view. Who are you? You're spiritual beings, come from a divine presence, what we call God. You come from a divine presence and decided in that presence that you were going to take on a physical body. And that physical body is what you took on at birth. So your divine energy entered into the presence of that physical body so you could have a physical experience. And your consciousness is dwelling in you to have a physical experience. You did not come from Stone Age time. You came from the presence of God, in the presence of a divine environment, into this physical world that we call third, fourth dimensional world. Now, you, in order to relate with those individuals in this time, in this present world, you had to take on a body that could vibrate the same vibration of everything in this world. Everything like the plants, the cows, the hogs, the dogs, everything else. You had to take on that same type of body. But inside you is a consciousness that at time could explore itself anywhere it so desired. It could do that. At any time you could be on the moon, you could be on the sun, you could be on another planet consciously thinking, or you could be from here to Europe, to Paris, to Africa, or wherever you want to in your conscious presence. Because your conscious presence, at times, it always vibrates faster than your physical presence. And these are things you need to know before you can even understand why Black Lives Matter. You need to know what you are, and then go forward from that. Now, and the reason I say that is because you've always been told that you are minority. You've always been told that you from slavery. I never was a slave, although I'm in a slave-conscious society, but I never was a slave. And when people begin to say, well, this person gave their permission to be a part of this system or that system, yes. he did that. She did that. They could have an option. Do it or die. You got an option. But you always have an option. So our forefathers took that option. The black forefathers took that option and said, well, I'm going to survive physically and I'm going to serve this master. But he didn't have to do that. He did it because he made it a choice. Okay. Now, black lives. Let's get back to Black Lives Matter. Now, why Black Lives Matter and all other lives matter? Because we are one race of people. But in order to learn ourselves and get back in line, we got to learn ourselves through what our fathers have given us, information, esoteric information. And where do you explore this information? You go into the Bible. But you don't go into the Bible and look at it as a literal writing. You look at it as an esoteric writing. A writing that have myths, allegorical writing in it, prophetic writing in different terms. And when you begin to see that, you begin to find the truth isms in it. Because you can't know who you are. Black lives can't matter if you're radiating from the physical aspect of life and not from the esoteric. You got to focus from not the two eyes that you see everything around you, but the third eye. And that third eye is a part of the esoteric learning. That third eye where you see things rightly and truthfully. And the reason I'm going to say that is, I'm going to give you an example. If I wanted to know something, okay, about a black person, it used to Black Lives Matter, so Barack Obama is a black person, and he's the president of the United States. So to be the first president of the United States, you got to be somewhere in that Bible. And most people look at it, they won't even think of it like that. They'll say, well, Barack Obama is Barack Obama. No, Barack Obama ain't just Barack Obama. To be in the United States of America at this time of history and be a black man in the White House, you got to be in that book. Why? Because that book tells you something that you have not been told in the church environment. That book tells you something because you got to go into who wrote that book or who compiled that particular writing. King James was the one that had the literal writings of our Holy Bible compiled. And in that, he had such literal scholars as Shakespeare and many other ones. Now, why would King James write a Bible and send it over to the American colonies? You need to ask yourself that before you know why your life matters or what you're all about. You got to give your life the meaning that it's supposed to have. Now, reason I say that, look at it very carefully. If King James, who had no interest in anything else but his countries and the land that his country possesses, in that Bible, it deals with esoteric writings. And in those esoteric writings, you was in a time of slavery. So what was he interested in and why he compiled certain books that was important for this landmass? Because in that book, there was a black people that came originally from the area of Palestine that was known back in the day as the upper part or lower part. When you see Egypt from a certain point of view, up was down and down was up. So a lower part of Egypt, and that lower part was a land that the pharaohs controlled. So when you begin to see that, the Assyrians went in there and took those peoples. And then later you had the Babylonian, the Medes and Persian, the Grecians, and later you had the Romans. So when they wanted some more slaves, they knew that them people make good slaves because they are skilled, they are knowledgeable. So when they went over into Africa and went into certain kingdoms in Africa, the Songhai and different kingdoms, Mali and stuff like that, they knew that those peoples were there. And so they started wars around getting those peoples and getting those Jews, as we call Jews. Well, the name Jews didn't exist no way, but it was created. But let's use the term Jew. Let's don't go too far away from what we already know, consciously know. So they took those Jews and they brought them on over here. Some of them was the Moors, became the Moors later, etc. And etc. But they was the Jews that they brought over here and they made good slaves. And what did they do with them? They took them, they took their language away, took many things away. They destroyed the parents and the teaching, and they made a new black man, a new Negro. Now, that new Negro today is you and I. Now, let's get to Black Lives Matter. The reason I'm saying this is because if you don't know thyself and where you came from, then you don't know the significance of your life, and you do not know how your life play out in the Word of God. That is extremely important, because what you will find out is that the prophecies fit you. And if the prophecies fit you, you need to understand the esoteric writing where you go into the Bible and you find out where you are right now. And the reason I brought up Barack Obama is because blacks have to understand that you are at close to the ending of an age, the ending of time. Barack Obama was one that carried the mythology of the person called Saul. America is the new Israel. So Saul was the first king of Israel. So by Saul being the first king of Israel, Saul was before David, but Saul had a son that controlled before David. So what is that saying to you? That saying to me is that if I have somebody like Rubio from Florida said, I am David, that means that, and he thinks he's going to be president after Barack Obama, he done lost his mind. The one that's going to be president out of Barack Obama is one that is a son to Barack Obama. Now, who would be a son to Barack Obama? Hillary Clinton would be a son. Son don't mean S-O-N, it means S-U-N. So Saul's son, or the one who close to Saul, is the one that's going to be president. Now, why would I say that? Because the mythology must fit, and the sacred geometry. Now, do Hillary Clinton's sacred geometry fit? No. Bill Clinton's sacred geometry fit the time. Do Donald Trump's sacred geometry fit the time? Yes. Donald Trump's sacred geometry fit the time. That's why he's there. Was Tom Cruise sacred geometry fit the time? No, it was not. Did Rubio sacred geometry fit the time? No, it did not. So why you got these two individuals there? Because their sacred geometry fits the time. In a later program, we will show you how to break it down so you can see how the sacred geometry fit. Now you got two people that's up there. And we have to put Hillary Clinton / Bill Clinton, because that is her husband, and his sacred geometry fit the time. You got to put Donald Trump, because his sacred geometry fit the time. But the key to understanding which one will win the election, which one will be in the final call, is based on the mythology. We are living this mythology out, because people like when you see Barack Obama and you see Saul. Barack Obama got a wife named Michelle. Saul had a family member named Michelle. Barack Obama, Saul was the first king of Israel. Barack Obama is the first black president / Your Excellency of America. Think about it. Barack Obama is in the Mason view of the new Israel. Saul was in their leadership view, and their sacred order view of the peoples at that time of a whole Israel. So when you begin to put the pieces together, they are there. So Black Lives Matter, because we are going to go into a new time, and the blacks got to understand that you got to be a part of that time in understanding the conscious movement of this nation and this world. You cannot move because somebody did something alone. You got to move from a conscious thought. And if you move from a conscious thought, you'll be able to be real successful in the future, what needs to be done. Because you are the Israel. The 400 years are over. It ended in October the 30th, 2013. And I have the proof to show you how to see that. But you cannot see it by following the teachings of the day without including the esoteric knowledge. And you're not going to learn this stuff in the church. It's not there. The church is somewhat a part of the state. And it's hard for people to recognize that. But if they begin to do their research, they'll begin to see that the church branched from the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church controls state and religion. So you branch from that, you're still connected in that environment. And I'm not here to pound the churches. So this ain't about pounding the churches, it's about waking the dead. It's the Ezekiel type thing, waking you from the dead. Because always remember, in Ezekiel, when he talked to the dry bone, they were speaking. So if they speak back, that means they wasn't physically dead, they was consciously dead. So I want my people to be consciously awakened to where they need to go. So when we begin to see this term, Black Lives Matter, remember, to other peoples, it seems like you're just talking about black folks alone and you are excluding yourself from the whole human race. We must understand that Black Lives Matter as every life matter. And if we begin to move in that direction, we could be able to get the things that we need to get, we could get to the place that we need to get, and we could be able to be what God chose us to be. Spiritual beings walking in a physical body, aware of itself. Thank you. God bless. And always love to you. Amen.